Hey everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making a birthday card and we're going to be using primarily Lawn Fawn products. We're using this really cute stamp set called Really High Five along with their matching dies. I just think that set is so cute. We're also going to be using some dies. We're using the stitched balloon frames and we're also going to be using it with the magic iris. And that middle one, or that small balloon, fits really nicely over the top of the magic iris. And then we're also going to be using the magic iris add-on. So this obviously goes with the magic iris. Let's go ahead and do our stamping first. I'm going to pull out some ink on 3 blackout ink, which is really good for Copic coloring. And I'm going to stamp that onto some Express It cardstock. And normally I would probably pull out my Misty for this, but it's not a whole lot of stamping, and I needed two of the hats and 2 of the strings. I only end up using 1 of the strings, but I did need 2 of the hats. And so I'll just stamp all of my little images out. We've got a bunny and a fox, and we're only going to stamp 1 balloon because one of the critters is going to be holding on to one of the stitched balloons. All right, so let's go ahead and color. Typically when I'm coloring Lawn Fawn, I will usually only use 2 color blend. Today I decided to go a little bit crazy with this fox and do a 3 color blend. So I started off with the E08. And that's actually one of the things I love about these Lawn Fawn images is that they're not real big, and so you can absolutely get away with a 2 color blend. You wouldn't have to feel pressured to do more than that. So if you're new to Copic coloring, this might be, or any alcohol marker coloring, this might be, some good stamps to try. And then I came in with that E09. That is actually my midtone because I'm going to come in with some E29 just for some real dramatic edges. It's not a lot, but it definitely gives quite an impact. I'll go over the top of that with that E09 and then I'll blend again with the E08, and our little fox looks nice and shaded. For our rabbit, we have some C-Thru. I don't know why when I'm using the C's or the W's most of the time, if I'm trying to do something that's just like a gray or a white, I'll start with my darkest color first and then go to my lightest color, which in that case was the C1. But typically I am a lightest to darkest kind of gal. And then we'll come in and do our balloon. That is using YG23, and I'm only going to use 2 colors on this one because the YG17 is dramatic enough for me. And then I'll come back in with that YG23 and blend that out just a little bit. And then for the hat, we're just using 1 color blend, all the colors we already used, and then we'll bring in a yellow as well. All right, now we are going to use the matching dies. We'll tack that down with a little bit of purple tape, and then we'll run that through my die cutting machine. And I do want to apologize. I had my camera zoomed in and totally forgot. So now we're starting to assemble the magic iris. And what you're going to need is that donut piece up in the upper right hand or upper left hand corner that you see that die. I cut 3 of those out, and then for one of those I use that little hurricane piece that is the piece right below the donut piece, that die right below. So what I did is I cut out 3 of these little balloon animal pieces using a yellow, and there's a reason that it's yellow. And then I just positioned those right inside the little donut tabs, or the inside the donut, using that hurricane die. I will have some videos linked down below because I've already done this once before. I did use some glue dots, and you're going to want to use some 3/16 inch glue dots. You could not use regular glue, and the 3/16 is what they recommend, and that's what actually works the best. I've flipped this over, and then now I've got some score tape. I'm just using like some 1/8 inch score tape. 1/4 inch would work better, but I'm about running out of that. And all I did was use, you see where the hurricane piece cut out, or at least kind of marked areas? That's where I lined the tape up right along there, leading to the outside edge. And then I am attaching these little tabs. You don't have to do them yellow. They're not going to be seen, but I just happen to have enough yellow there, so I went ahead and cut those out. And then I'm lining those up right to the center all the way to the outside, and then you'll have some pieces that stick out. I'm going to flip that over, and then I'm going to put some more of that score tape on the back of this is my pull tab. Just at the lower half, I'll go from the half down, and then I'll attach that down at the very bottom, put another little donut piece right on top, and then I'm going to fold over fairly loosely my yellow tabs. I'll use that score tape once again, and we'll just put that on the inside of those tabs, and then we'll peel off the release paper. And like I said, you're going to want to loosely attach these down. They may go just to the stitching, maybe a little less than that. You don't want this to be too tight, otherwise your mechanism will have a hard time moving. And then once you've got those attached, you can kind of check your mechanism and make sure that it's actually working. And this is when I realized, oh my goodness, my camera was zoomed in too far. So I do apologize for that. All right, so here is our mechanism. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. And then we'll move on to cutting out a bunch of the stitched balloons. So I cut them out in kind of rainbow colors, and then I'm going to pull out that Magic Iris add-on, and I'm going to trace this on top of some copy paper. I don't want this to be too thick because I do need to run this through my die cutting machine, and I do plan to layer those balloons on top of it, but I'm just tracing that. And the reason I'm tracing that is so that I have an idea where those balloons are going to line up. I want to make sure that all of that white space other than the center is covered. So I'm going to line up my balloons and just kind of see where they look. I did some small ones, I did some big ones, and I'm trying to go in sort of a rainbow order. So we've got our red and our orange, and I'm going to take a green one. We've got a purple one. I ended up cutting out a bigger blue one because it just worked better. And then when I'm happy with where those are, I'm going to start attaching that down. Now I did start out by putting some glue right all over that paper where I've got the line set up, but that ends up not being very helpful. So I am going to end up using the glue right on the balloons after I figure this out. Because in some of those areas I didn't actually get any glue down, so that would cover the outside stitched edge of that balloon. So it's here when I start to realize I probably just need to glue these down right to the paper, put the glue right on the balloon. And I'm overlapping some because I just want all those colors to show. And if I had been thinking, I would have used some ink along with my blender tools, and I would have added some dimension to these balloons, just like bringing in some of that color, blending color on the edges, just to make it look like it had a little bit more depth. But I will fix that because I really didn't like how flat these colors looked. So you can always fix it, but once it's down, obviously I'm not going to be able to ink blend anything over the top of that. So now that those are down, I'm lining up my die over the top of that. And you may need to run this through your die cutting machine a couple of times. I did, and I still had a couple areas where it stuck, so it was really easy. I just used my scissors and cut those out. And here's where I'm looking at it, realizing it needs to have a little more depth. I'll attach down the stitched area of the yellow balloon to the front. And see how perfectly that works with that Magic Iris add-on? And then I'm going to bring in some Copic colors just to add a little dimension to those balloons. I'm acting like my light source is coming from the left-hand side, so all my darker shades are going to be coming from the right-hand side. And yeah, just picked colors that I thought would match and then blended those out. And as they dry back a little bit. So where it looks so green right there, it's going to dry back some and not be so in your face. And now I need to draw some lines for where my strings would be coming down. So I've got my T-ruler along with a Copic Multiliner. Definitely has to be a T-ruler for me, otherwise it's not going to be a straight line. And then now I'm going to cut out the tab that will attach. This goes with that Magic Iris add-on. And so I'm just cutting that out of orange because that's where my orange balloon is. And I'll show you. It's actually extremely easy to attach. That's why it has that little ridge at the top. But for some reason I was thinking I had to line it up first and then attach it. You'll definitely want to make sure that your Magic Iris is completely closed before you attach anything to it, because you want to make sure that it's not going to get in the way of the envelope. But all I needed to do, so I tried to do it this way just by sticking a little bit of glue down on there. And then I would snip off the excess. What you really do is you just pull this away and attach it right to it. So I'll realize it here in a second, like, oh, it's meant to go right on that edge. So I'll peel it back, stick it down, and then I can cut off that excess of the tab. So yeah, all that for nothing, right? Okay, so I am going to attach this down. And if you're attaching it right down to something, you can put glue all over the front piece. That is fine, which is what I'm doing. And now I'm going to get my base ready, which I had cut to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 4.25 inches, so it will be a side folding A2 size card. And then I'm going to line up my sentiments that are going to go on the outside using my glass mat, making sure those are fairly straight. This just makes it easier for me to cut it as well. I'll ink those up with some Ink on 3 Blackout ink, and then I'll cut those down using my guillotine trimmer. And then when I have all those set, I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the inside before I attach anything to the outside. Sometimes I remember to do that. Other times I don't. So I'll stamp happy birthday in there, and then I'm going to start gluing all of my little pieces that I want on the inside. So my fox is going to go in there. He's going to be holding on to that really fun green balloon, and I'm attaching one of the strings to there. And then we'll just attach that to the inside of our card. Our little fox will go right on top of that string like he's holding it. And then we're going to take one of the hats and put that on top of his head. And then that's going to finish the inside of the card. You know, I just have to do a little something something to the inside. And then now I can attach my mechanism to the outside. Before I do that though, I do want to take the yellow part of the balloon and attach that to the center to make sure that I have that good and centered. And then I will attach my sentiments down first, because I don't want to try and have to shove those in there. So on the outside it'll say flying by to say, and then yay, it's your birthday is going to go on the yellow part of that balloon, which is what will be exposed when you open up the mechanism. So it's super fun. I will use some Scotch foam tape just on the areas around my mechanism because it does have a little bit of dimension to it, so just to make sure that nothing gets ripped or squished in the mail, I put a little bit of foam tape just around the outside edge. I had opened up my mechanism to make sure that that didn't get in the way, and then if you're going to put glue on anything, it can only go on those yellow tabs. If you put it all over the rest of it, your mechanism will not open, so make sure that it's only on those tabs. And then I'll attach that down to the front of my card and make sure that everything still works, and it works beautifully. And then I can attach my rabbit to the front. So he's just hanging on for dear life onto that yellow balloon with all those balloons around him. And we'll put a little hat on him as well. And now he is completely finished. So here it is. I think this was so much fun. I know these take a little bit of extra work, but they're always so much fun to make. And I will have more videos to other Magic Iris cards that I've made linked down below. If you liked this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye everybody.